It's another week and another episode on the Granny Panty Podcast. I'm your host, RubyLynne. If you'd like to follow me, you can go to RubyLynne.com. That's RubyLynne.com. It's all things Ruby. If you'd like to follow this podcast, you can go to thegrannypantypodcast.com, where you have links to the YouTube. Hear all the episodes. You can listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. The list goes on. Pretty much anywhere there's a podcast, you can find us. I am excited for this week's guest, like I am every week. I say that. But she's really my first alt model, fetish model that I'm talking to and hearing her story. And I'm so impressed. She really started this when she turned 18, kind of on a dare. It just was something that she developed a passion for. She's been doing fetish modeling, a lot of foot content, bondage content. So I'm excited to hear her story and how it's all evolved. So help me welcome Miss Whitney Morgan. Whitney, I am so excited to be able to sit down with you and talk about everything that's going on with you and how you got into this business. I had the pleasure of meeting you earlier this year at Exotica Chicago, and I was drawn to you because you have this vintage pinup style look that I just love. And I wanted to definitely know more about you and your work. So welcome to the Granny Panty Podcast.
Why, thank you. The funny thing about the pinup look is, I normally do like a bouffant with my hair. I have noticed now at conventions, if I don't do it, people don't recognize me. So for example, the first day I didn't do it. I was tired and didn't want to tease and torment my hair. The next day I did it and people came up and were like, "Were you here yesterday?" I was like, "Yep, same spot, same banner, same me, less clothing." And
right.
I have to do it. I pigeonholed myself into it.
What you've done is build a brand. That's your branding. And so that's what they expect. So it's a good thing, actually.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah. You built your brand that way. So tell me, I want to start from the beginning because I don't know your story. So I'm going to hear it as well as our viewers for the first time. Your bio on Twitter says pro international fetish model. So let's talk about how Whitney got into this and how long you've been doing this.
Odd start. It kind of started on a dare. On my 18th birthday, a friend of mine took me to downtown Orlando. It was a Wednesday night. I remember that because there was absolutely nothing going on unless you were 21 and could get into an actual bar instead of a club. So we meandered around downtown Orlando, goof it off, and stumbled upon a open casting call for a fetish-driven burlesque troupe. They would do their stereotypical glitz, glam, feathers, sequins. The house mom, she did all of the costumes herself out of more like PVC, latex.
Wow.
More alternative. They called themselves Anti-Babe, and kind of a play on words is that they weren't a bunch of babes. They weren't glamour girls. They were more fetish, BDSM. And we did a combination of fashion shows for the fetish style attire that was themed around a storyline, and then did BDSM acts like spanking and paddling the patrons. A couple girls did fireplay stuff. So
wow.
it was males and females. It wasn't just strictly women.
Okay. So you walk in and just come upon this and you audition?
Yeah, it was a dare. My friend and I who actually was a male too, just a normal friend, nothing other than that. But it was a a dare, I'll do it if you do it. Everybody they'd already been drinking, partying, having fun there. So they were very warm and welcoming, and they were always a group that included everybody in there. They didn't matter your age, your body type, gender, nothing. They didn't care. They invited everybody, and everybody was welcome there. So that was 2003, January 2003.
Wow. And what was this audition like? Did they have you dress up, or?
It really was hardly anything. It was them talking to us, making sure that we were open-minded, did the whole catwalk kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And basically they had us come to like the first tryouts where we did clothing try-ons and, clothing, and it was, we'll teach you everything. Just come have fun with us. It wasn't a paid opportunity. You worked off of tips and got the experience. And for me, the most beneficial thing was networking. Because 2003, there were not very many online opportunities for modeling and getting into this. Granted, I was 18, but I still had half a year of high school left.
Wow.
So, of me going, should I this is fun. I've always been a weirdo. I've always been goth alternative. So this is something different. I don't want to continue to work at a craft store or in the mall, which is what I'd already been doing. It's like, this is more fun. And I earn more off of tips than an hourly wage. So.
Wow. So other than those like high school or teenage type jobs, this has been your career then since you graduated, correct?
No, because I'm a Capricorn, which I don't know of all the astrology shit if it's real. See, so you're hardworking, you always want to be busy, you want things to do, and you like having that safety net of an income. So I held vanilla jobs all the way until 2011. Okay. I worked for various positions at both major international airports in Central Florida. And it took them deleting my position because I had some medical issues, got a bad car accident, had to do physical therapy, yada, yada, blah, blah, nothing fun. And they couldn't legally fire me for all the time I was missing.
Right.
So they deleted my position for the 6-month grace period. And at that point I said, fuck it.
Right.
Why not try this full time while I have the opportunity to do so? I had already been earning enough money for my clip studios, my website, because I still, even though I couldn't dedicate a lot of time to it, I still had all those things going on, and I earned too much money off of that to claim unemployment. So why go full bore and really push it to see if I could make a career out of it? And that was, spring of 2011.
Okay. So then you went into it full time. So how did your niche or your career evolve? So you were in that burlesque troupe. Then what came next?
Whilst being in that, I was only in there for maybe just under a year. It's chaotic. Not everybody gets along, everybody butts heads there. Too much, too many different personalities combined into one. Clips for Sale in particular was just starting up in 2004, and that made a lot of people who had regular websites or did VHS or DVD or magazine publications go running towards there because there were no real overhead costs. You could just upload content.
Right.
But since we didn't have Twitter, MySpace was kind of there at that time. Everybody was really off of a referral system. So I had other models within the burlesque troupe go, hey, you should go check out or try working for this bondage producer. I recommend him. So therefore that model got a referral fee from the bondage producer. And then that was actually, shooting bondage was my very first video content I did. So it was a lot of the girls going, hey, you should check this out. You'll get paid more in an hour than you're getting paid in a day in most places. So it didn't really I am very lucky. I've not had a lot of issues on set or with creepers
Good.
or anything bad that's really gone on. But I mean, knock on wood, it's surprising because back in that day, not a lot of us would do extensive research because you didn't have the availability. It was just this girl said, "Hey, go work with this guy. He's cool," and then hope and pray everything's okay. So yeah, bondage, foot fetish, tickling, all these new things that I knew were kinks. I didn't know the depth of it. So I got thrown really into fetish from the beginning.
Okay. So clips for sale. That's funny. I just made a clips for sale account today, actually. And I didn't realize they'd been around that long. So
now
the original clips stores.
The original owner opened it up around 2004 with his then girlfriend because they did a lot of foot fetish content, and the overhead costs to run a site back then were, I mean, they still are insane as far as all the credit card processing fees. So why not make it something available to everybody if you have funds to do it?
Right. That's awesome. So then you start shooting content, and that was prior to 2011, correct? You were doing some fetish bondage stuff. And then how did your career change once you were doing it full time?
I expanded a lot in what I do because I had the availability, the time to really dedicate to more intricate projects, to shoot custom videos. That's one of the biggest things is I could focus on a custom video. I couldn't say, oh, well, I can't shoot this for a couple of weeks because I'm working 12-hour shifts.
Right.
Or closing shift at the airport, and they make you stay until the planes leave. Or, I couldn't schedule things with other models. That was a huge nightmare as people didn't understand, hey, shit, I work for a company that, hey, if even though I'm supposed to be off tomorrow, if this flight got delayed today, I got to stay or I got to come back. So I had to cancel on people all the time. So having the opportunity to focus on it and really take it seriously and show people I was being serious about it gave me, an open door to shooting custom content, to shooting and scheduling things with other models, to traveling and, being flown places because I knew I could take the time off to shoot for other people, conventions.
Yeah. Yeah. When I quit my corporate job a little over a year ago, it was funny because I had replaced my corporate income already. And I kept saying to myself, if I can dedicate full time, I bet I can double that, because you can then expand and take on more sites or do more work. So
yeah, absolutely.
So did you or do you do in-person fetish? So are fans able to hire you, like fly you to them? Do you do anything in real life?
Very, 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 very selectively. Like I do strictly femdom sessions and foot-driven sessions. Nothing of any sexual or nude nature, nothing where I'm submissive or put in a position. I know a lot of girls do wrestlings. I don't do anything that's going to be full contact or an opportunity to get hurt.
Right. But do you shoot with other female fetish models as well?
Yeah, all the time. Yesterday, shot with 2 girls all day yesterday as well.
That's cool. Is it more triple X? Is there sexual interaction or?
With extreme rarity that I shoot anything triple X. I think a lot of it is because I started in fetish and I really went down that route. None of my triple X stuff ever has really sold for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's here and there I've gotten booked through one of my either or agencies to shoot triple X for other people. And in that case, I strictly do solo girl or work with my partner as well.
Okay. Good to know. And so what is the most requested fetish? Is it the foot fetish stuff?
For me, it's definitely been foot fetish or lately within the last couple of years, bondage. I not used to be heavily tattooed. I had a couple bad tattoos, as a lot of us get them when we're not in them. And it took me years to find an artist that I trusted wholeheartedly and he knew what I did, and he's worked on other models. So he knew his work was going to be on display on the internet, magazines, etc. And so it took good 16, 17 years to find someone. I was like, go ahead, I trust you, just do whatever you want to do. And having that done, a lot of particularly bondage producers no longer have an interest in working with me because I don't have that innocent girl next door look.
Okay.
So bondage for me, for my sites, for my custom requests has blown up because you can't find it many places with me anymore.
Gotcha.
But still the number one custom requests I get are foot driven.
Okay. And then what is the wildest request you've had for a custom video?
Oh, let me think.
Something that just made you go, whoa, okay. Either good or bad.
Recently, I had to be a bully. I'm sure there's other ones that it'll pop in my head now. Like, oh, no, that one's crazier. I had to be a bully who put the viewer in a diaper. I squished up their lunch, put their lunch in their diaper. This is all POV with the camera, with me trying to angle things to not knock the camera over, and then wedgie them with their diaper.
Okay. And how do you recreate that without a human there?
It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. And it's even harder because that's something that's really difficult to even have a camera person for.
Right.
And they're going to be laughing. I've had a lot of issues with laughing because they, a lot of people, if you haven't been in this for an extended period of time, it's kind of new and different to you. So you do chuckle and you're not able to comprehend and or why somebody wants something like that.
Right.
I am lucky a lot of my fans discuss why they have XYZ fetish. Normally something similar has happened to them.
Okay.
Typically during puberty seems to be a good thing, a good timing where things stuck for them sexually. Also having a camera person for that, having them be able to hold the camera properly, hold everything that's going on, not drop stuff and make a huge mess. It's extremely difficult. That was done with a ring light around it for the extra tripod there, extra tripod for the camera, and my foot firmly placed to be able to keep the tripods from getting knocked over.
Right.
That surprisingly only took, I think, 2 takes. I think I did knock it over with the first attempt of wedging a diaper.
That's funny. That's an interesting request. But, I think food requests seem to be high. I know another model who had a custom request for a whole table full of fresh vegetables and fruit that she squished up or chopped up or something. So, yeah, I think food's
I've done similar ones of that. Another one is, stealing their lunch and then stomping on their lunch. Or I have another guy that regularly requests cock and ball torture. So he likes items that can be squished that look like cock and balls. So I've had to finagle putting together oranges and a hot dog or tomato. And trying to make balls and a cock and then stomp on them until they're just smithereens.
That's funny. So creative. I mean,
I will give a lot of my custom clients definitely bonuses for creativity.
Yeah. So tell me about a shoot or a time that something didn't go right. And how did you deal with it? And what did you learn?
I've not had many shoots that have gone awry. I've been very lucky in that aspect. I think a big point of that is I'm I am picky about who I work with. Having time is really the biggest issue. And sometimes getting models to focus is like herding cats. That's been a big one, is time wasting. And I'm a little too nice sometimes and don't want to be like focus and have anybody mad at me in that aspect. So that's the worst things that have gone really wrong in shoots is we didn't get anything done because people couldn't focus.
Find that inner Capricorn. You got to get,
Yeah.
the angry goat. Stubborn. That's what we are.
Yep.
Okay. And then what is a shoot or, even solo content that you made? What's something that stands out in your mind, like one of your favorites that you'll never forget?
I used to shoot with not really a producer. He was more of a hobbyist in Canada. And the storylines and the quality, and he would shoot on 4 separate cameras and then edit everything. There were multiple other models that he'd fly up and work with. He worked in TV production for a real job and shooting extremely detailed storyline content was his main thing that he loved to create in that aspect. I run an entire series called Foot Tickle Therapy that was based off of a custom a long time ago that I didn't really get to shoot it the way I wanted to. And I was the patient and the therapist was tickling me. And then I thought later on, it's more fun if I'm the therapist. And then I continue to be a pervert and play with girls' feet, tickle them and tie them up. But his name Anthony, and he goes by A Artiste, helped create an entire background story for the foot tickle therapists where I was a youth and regularly going to see a therapist for depression issues and anxiety. And he thought of a whole storyline where he developed me into a foot tickle fetishist. So that's definitely one where, it was a drawn out like 20-minute movie. Because he really made full-on movies. I mean, there was a ton of different fun, crazy ones that he's done with myself and other models. But that was one that was like really like my baby because he took something that I had already created a whole series that said, let's take it back and have an origin story for your foot tickle therapist character. So, I mean, that's one that really did stick out. And he threw a lot of, since I'm known for foot fetish stuff and bondage stuff, he threw all of those elements into it to create this whole character for me.
Wow. That is cool.
Yeah.
And is that scene or that work available online where if someone wanted to get it?
It's on my website. I want to say it's on I Want Clips. I know it's on Clips for Sale. I don't think it's on many vids. I mean, it's years and years old. So Clips for Sale on my website were always the main things that I was on from the get-go. So I've slacked on putting older legacy content on any of the newer sites.
Got you. Which you kind of lead me into one of the questions I had. Was what's your busiest platform? Where do you get most of your requests from?
Most of my sales derive from Clips for Sale and my website, MissWhitneyMorgan.com. But as far as like requests, they're all directly via email. A lot of the sites don't really allow the direct email. Like I Want Clips and many vids allow a direct email or direct message, but also a lot of the sites are very finicky about words you can use. So if they believe that you're trying to make a sale through them, that they're not going to get their full cut out of it.
Do you do OnlyFans?
Kind of. So since I shoot bondage, and I had an OnlyFans when it first started. My main rule of thumb is no matter what the site is, go secure your name. You don't want anybody to steal your name off of it. So even if you don't do anything with it, my name is secure. I would just put up behind the scenes content for years and years and years and years. So 5, 6 years later, all of a sudden, here's this backlog of, we want all of these models' information for things that I can't even scroll back far enough to know who you want. And they wanted me to send everything in a zip file via direct email. I argued back and forth that that's not safe for me to send all of these girls information, regardless the fact that I can't scroll back far enough to even know who I want. And then I kept getting flagged for bondage content, for things that they found that they thought were public because it was outside in my yard. And my favorite one is they flagged a large portrait tattoo on my thigh as me not tagging a fellow content creator.
Oh my gosh.
So I have an OnlyFans. I can only send direct messages, which I still do to the fans that are on there because I have some diehard fans that won't move to another platform.
Right.
So I still send them direct messages just about daily until they kick me off.
So crazy. Is there another fan site that you use, or?
Well, I primarily use Loyal Fans.
Okay.
I do, again, I have a fan site on everything just to make sure that I'm secure on there, but Loyal Fans is definitely my number one choice and recommendation, and the easiest to use and the best communication with their customer service over all the other ones.
Yeah, they have amazing customer service. I've moved a lot of my stuff to there as well. Mm-hmm. But interesting. So what do you think is a common myth about doing fetish modeling?
In the industry as a whole, a common myth is that we all must have STDs and we're all dirty and
that's across the industry for sure.
Yeah, not get tested. The fetish thing, what I get more is that we're a bunch of weirdos, is people who typically consume more vanilla porn don't understand. Granted, we're okay with, obviously I'm not going to shoot a fetish that I'm not okay with, that I'm not comfortable with, but just because I shoot it doesn't mean it's my personal kink. The vast majority of everything we do across the board is acting.
Right.
And I get a lot of flack, again, probably another reason that I don't do well in typical XXX is because most people think, oh, you're a foot freak or you're into wham splashing, like that. We get a lot of flack that we are the weirdos, we're the outcasts.
Yeah. Gotcha. So you'd have to, I guess, to do fetish modeling, you've got to be kind of your own authority and have thick skin.
Yeah, get a lot of crazy emails.
It sounds like it. So what have you got? Big projects coming up? Tell us. Give us the 411. We want to know what's coming. You working on anything big?
Fetish Con is coming up in less than 2 weeks. I guess 12 days. That's too much work to deal with right now. It is, as far as the fetish content creators are concerned, it is the biggest convention in the United States that caters to more of the alternative porn. Mm-hmm. So that is, it's once a year in St. Pete, Florida, always typically the second weekend of August. It is a good combination of fans and content creators and retailers as well. Mm-hmm. A whole hotel takeover in St. Pete.
Cool.
I've been going since my first year being in the industry.
Wow.
Yeah, good old. The first one they had in Florida was 2003, and that was the first time I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing about it. Let me pretend I'm going to work every single day and drive from Orlando to, at that time, in Tampa. Yeah, that was hard to keep undercover. But
I bet.
The biggest thing coming up, Exotica, New Jersey, isn't until November.
Right.
And I mean, as far as personal projects, I just have plenty of content trade shoots set up with girls throughout Florida. I have most of my house set up to shoot. Not sure my husband's happy about that, but or the bug guy, I'm pretty sure last time we said, just go ahead. He came into this room and that whole wall is a dungeon space.
Well, he obviously must have known what your career choice was when he met you, right?
Yes and no. I had just gotten out of a very bad relationship and engagement who the guy was not okay with what I was doing. And when we got together, I was traveling internationally for work, doing conventions, had been flown to Italy, Germany, Switzerland. So I was really kind of getting in, I was 21. So really getting into, I'm young. This is a prime. I know what I want to do. All these people find me as fresh meat and want to shoot me. And he had a huge issue with it. And I stopped shooting for about almost 3 years.
Wow.
I said, you know what, we're not going to do this. We're not getting married. I'm calling it quits. I mean, there were plenty of other factors into it where he's not a good person. But my husband and I had worked together at my airport job, and we didn't really, he's a little bit younger than me. We didn't really talk. Nobody at work. There may be 3 or 4 people that knew what I did outside of a vanilla job. When we met at a mutual coworker's birthday party, I knew he only showed up because he had an interest in me, and it was, look, eye to eye, this is what I have been doing. This is what I enjoy to do. This, I'll show you. Here's my website. If there are any issues with this, we can't go any further. I stopped doing something that I wanted to consider a career for someone else. I can't do that again. I'd rather be by myself. And there were a lot of issues to begin with. There had to be a lot of communication and understanding. All of this is, acting. There's not, even though the myth is, all of us are just fucking around with each other. Like, this is, there aren't things, maybe there are some people that do things offset. No, I should do that. Go ahead, go bananas. I'm like, but me, it's like, this is on set. What you see on film is what happens. Beyond that, there's nothing more. So, we've been together now for 15 years. He's like, go bananas, go to conventions, go shoot, have people at the house. Don't care, trust you. Cool. It took time, though.
It is important to set those boundaries. My partner, we had 1 or 2 dates, and I'm like, by the way, I want to be ethically non-monogamous. So if you want anything past, today, you got to sign up for this lifestyle. And so that's good. That's good.
Because, if they don't understand, it's like, well, I'm wasting my time that I could be out there looking for somebody else and doing something that makes me happy, and vice versa. So,
right. And I have this theory of going out of this life with no regrets. So,
that's the best way.
You got to have it align.
Yeah. They're not regrets, they're learning lessons.
That's right. That is right. Oh, my gosh. Speaking of which, what's the most important lesson you've learned in your career?
Not start businesses with friends.
I feel like there's a story behind that.
Really, anyone in particular, there've been, I've never lost any friends over going into business together, but, most of the time it's been like, all right, we need to take a step back, or, what, maybe you own the entity and I help out, or vice versa, because if we're trying to split all of this 50-50, there will end up being issues where we butt heads. And since if we both own it, there will be a fight and it will ruin a friendship. And I have seen enough friendships get ruined over people running businesses together, running studios together, where I'm like, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm also very bullheaded about, if I want something done, I'm going to do it myself.
Right.
So I never want to have that well, you're doing a good job, but you should do it better this way, knowing that that's only going to cause a fight. I'm just going to shut up and do it the right way.
That's right. Oh, yeah. That's a good piece of advice. I always had this saying, don't sleep where you eat. So it's kind of like the same kind of thing. Don't start businesses with family
Family's another big one I've seen. So, whether it be some siblings that are both in the industry, which is rare, but there are quite a few. Or I've even seen some mother-daughter relationships in the industry where they're both running things together. Yeah, which part of me is like, oh, you're the coolest mom ever. But then I'm like, This is going to go down in flames eventually.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. So as we close out, I'm just so excited to have learned more about how your career evolved. I think you're amazing. I absolutely love your look. Like I said, that's what drew me to you. Tell people where they can find. I know you mentioned some, but tell us about your website and all things Whitney.
My main website where you can find just about everything is misswhitneymorgan.com. I also have iwantwhitneymorgan.com, which leads to my I Want clips. I've got 5 clips for sale studios. The links are on my website. ManyVids, FanCentro. I try to have links everywhere. Everything across the board is Miss Whitney Morgan. My 4th Instagram account now is Miss Whitney Morgan 3.0 because they have killed off the hashtag Miss Whitney Morgan. I'm not allowed to use the MISS anymore anywhere on there. I even had a foodie page they killed off because it had my MISS Whitney Morgan name on it. Yeah,
Crazy.
I swear, you show some feet on there and you're done for. Twitter, hopefully we're still, or X, whatever we're calling it nowadays, is Ms. Whitney Morgan. That one's still there, knock on wood.
Twitter X or X Twitter. Yeah, what the heck? I have no idea.
I don't know anymore. I just want to be able to have somewhere where I could safely spam my sites and talk to other industry people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to, hopefully I'll see you in New Jersey. We'll see. And you always have your own booth, don't you, at the conventions?
I used to with my old podcast, Demon Seed Radio. We used to always have one. Lately, the last couple Exoticas I've been with either of my talent agencies, Elite Talent Direct or Cox Models. Yeah, that's been the 2 that I've been at the most lately.
Perfect.
They want to have me there. I'm like, I'll just show up. I'll sign. I'll be there on time.
Yes, that's right. I love those conventions, the fan-facing ones. I had a blast at Chicago. That was my favorite so far.
I love Chicago. That's a good one. There's lots of good food there and a lot of good people.
Yeah, it was fun. I had only been to New Jersey prior to that in 2021. Yeah, I think it was 2021. So yeah, it was fun. But well, I wish you luck. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll look forward to some more bondage and foot stuff from you.
Honestly, thank you for having me.
You bet.